slot in, you have to hold the patient's weight up to slide it in.
Yeah.
The new industry standard is when the automatic cot picks up, it's supported by the truck, and then it's pushed in. So there's zero lifting and zero chance of back injuries.
Not banging up our people.
That being said, that system is $40,000 in addition to a $250,000 ambulance.
Right. So a couple different ways you could look at it. We can. It's tough to shoehorn those kinds of numbers into our operating budget. They really need to be warrant articles. The other option would be to establish a ambulance equipment capital reserve fund and see if we could get voters to support it.
Which is what I would like to ask to do. The defibrillator, that needs to be this year. Other things are in the future.
A capital reserve fund, even if it's for equipment, has to go back to the town to get spent.
You got it.
And that's not what he really wants.
Well, realize the limitations of a capital reserve fund. The voters need to vote to create it, and I'm not sure if they can vote to fund it as it's being created or if that's a year later.
No, you can fund it.
You can fund it right then. Okay. So they vote to create it and they vote to fund it, but then anytime you take money out of it,
Vote to spend that.
that's the vote to spend it. So it's the next year, and it's not a big deal if it's. We plan on replacing our gurney at the end of 2017.
Correct.
When our balance should be this.
But the first step in putting together the stuff that you need is you lay out a 10-year plan, and you just say, here's what I need and here's what it's going to cost. And then I think the planning board traditionally helps pull together the capital.
Not traditionally.
No?
Yeah.
Well,
Judiciously, they're supposed to, but they don't.
Well, they were doing it when.
We're going to work with them to see if we can
So
get them to.
your responsibility is to sit down and lay out for the next 10 years. And normally you're looking at a 10-year plan, so you see this stuff coming. And you lay out the major items. If it's equipment, if it's it's an ambulance, if it's a defibrillator, put it all in there with a rough year that you expect to. And if there's a substantial amount of equipment that probably is over, I think what Chris is saying, more than what you could shoehorn into an operating budget, then you need to have that on the sheet. Then you can
Correct. And we have the capital reserve, and we do have a plan for a possible replacement of the ambulance in 2018.
And then what the selectmen can do is look at all that and put all the departmental stuff together and try to work this out so that the timing on this stuff doesn't come in a huge.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
absolutely. And it'll be whatever brand fits the town's needs the most. I'm not.
I just like giving you a hard time anytime I get to say Chevy. It was a good day. All right. Well, you guys have any more questions for Jesse?
No.
Very good. We appreciate it. We'll meet like this every month. And we'll look forward to what you're going to provide us. We'll each read this.
Oh, no, one more thing. The billing. I spoke with Carol, and that's a fixed cost. She will not charge any more for more bills going out. So.
Well, that's another one of the policies that we don't know.
This is how often we send bills out.
Well, we don't send them out. The EMS bills, the billing service sends them out. But apparently, from what Jesse tells me, the EMS has been directed by the selectmen not to send out more than one bill, not to send a bill out more than once.
Not to the insurance company. They'll send it multiple times to the insurance company, but they will only send one bill to the resident.
Does she understand? Do you understand that?
I do.
Okay.
and Tim, I think the history on that was that there was a lot of discussion on, because I was involved in Presenex, so 2 or 3 years to get everybody comfortable with billing in the first place. And there was a lot of discussion about, well, what if somebody doesn't have insurance? And that was specifically the reason that said, because the first argument was, gee, town taxes have traditionally covered ambulance service.
Correct.
And then the discussion was, yeah, but if people have insurance, might as well, you're just leaving money on the table if you don't bill the insurance company. And the argument was, well, what happens if you bill somebody and they don't have insurance? That's the reason for not sending a second bill if it's to an individual. And not, so you don't have to harass somebody that doesn't have insurance. And it's also the reason why if it's an insurance company, you send them multiple bills and you harass the insurance companies, but not the...
Well, they get to keep your money for 90 days or whatever.
Well, whatever, but that was the whole, and probably that's one that needs to be written down so everybody knows.
It may need to be revisited because it's illegal not to have insurance.
Absolutely, and,
Well, okay.
and,
Well, if people choose to pay the fine and not be insured, you understand?
Yeah.
For Obamacare, you have to have insurance.
Well, then you need to revisit that and discuss, but that was what the principle.
I understand the original.
principle.
Yeah.
So where this came from, Rich, is when we got the revenue report for last year.
Can we keep it down a little bit?
When we got the revenue report from last year, it was nowhere in the neighborhood of what it should have been. I believe it was $8,800.
So we billed that we billed that 8,800 more than we got. Is that what you're?
No.
No?
Of all the bills we sent out for 138 calls, averaging $800 to $1,000 a call, we received $8,800. That's incorrect.
Yeah, so what's the reason for that? What was
That's what I'm trying to find
Right.
out. These are not things that I know. I'm trying to work the system backwards to find where the failure was.
So there's just no follow-up on some of the billing?
There's no follow-up. Well, that's what one of his suggestions was.
Okay.
That there was
One of my suggestions, and one of the things that I would like to do, following HIPAA rules and obviously using no names, just numbers, I would like to follow up with the selectmen when it's my night of our billing inventory, because I think that's something that everybody should take a look at, because we should have been able to collect from Medicare and Medicaid 30 to 40,000 last year. And with our new rates in effect, using last year's number, we should be bringing in $84,000 to $85,000 a year.
Right, so it's just a simple report that says, here's how many calls we had, here's what was billed out, and here's what we collected, and here's what's outstanding. And that gives
Correct.
you what you need for the follow-up.
So why is it outstanding? I mean, Medicare pays their bills. Linda told me today that she gets paid. She gets bills from the ambulance service.
Right, but if people say they don't have insurance and we send them one bill to their house, then it gets.
Well, the
No, it's an insurance company.
It's the insurance company that sends out the bills. When we get payments from the insurance companies, then what we do is we have to fax them to our EMS billing system so they know they've received this.
Right.
And then we can go ahead and deposit that. I think what Jesse is asking for is he wants to know when those come in, how much they were, so that he can keep track of those. So it's easy enough for us to pull a report from
Yes.
the
I'd
ambulance
like to go
revenue.
over those
But
every
he
month
seems
to
think
find
that there's
out
a lot
what.
of money that's out there that that has not been mailed to us.
So I have no issue going over it. Let's save that for your next visit. And let's see if we can correct it so we don't have to go over those numbers every month.
Correct. I'm looking for where the failure in the system is.
Well, it might just be an accounting glitch. It might just be an accounting glitch.
Well, let's
The
hope
numbers
that's
are
all.
too big, Rich. The numbers are in the tens and $80,000 is not an accounting glitch.
No, just may not be being picked up,
Somewhere, yeah, it could be a process error.
There's some sort.
We'll find out.
There's some sort of
How
error
will we fund that? I don't know how you.
somewhere. I don't know what it
Look at the
is.
data first.
I don't know what it is, but I intend to find
See
it.
where it
Tim,
matches up
Tim, it's
against.
fairly simple. You have a call, you build the call on the insurance company, and then you match,
Carol will
You got
come
a check
whenever
from
we
where
ask
you
her to
didn't,
come.
or from Medicare.
The problem, the way Jess explained it to me, is that the EMS service that we use will not send a second billing or a third billing.
No, that's
what he said.
incorrect, that's not what he said.
To residents.
Are you sure that's right?
Yes,
That's a separate issue, which I do
they
think
will
we should
send
discuss.
multiple bills to the insurance companies, but to
not
residents, yep.
Okay. We'll save that for the next meeting, but we will discuss that. And I think it's in our interest, particularly regarding the insurance companies, to make sure that we get every dime out of them. Right.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I don't think anybody disagrees.
I just, that's not chump change.
Right.
That's a lot of money. And that was part of the reason that I increased our rates. Even on our old rates, any insurance company should have smiled and happily handed a check because we were billing a fourth of billable. We're now to full allowable. And I would like to make sure, if we're a quarter of the way through the year, I want to make sure that
The revenue comes back.
the revenue comes back to the town.
Works for me. All right. Anything else?
No, that's it.
All right. Moving right along. What's next on the agenda? My next thing, sorry, I looked myself.
Old business.
Old business.
What happened with
Tim has old business.
I'm gonna leave, so.
No, you can't leave, you're part of the open business.
Well, then, yeah.
When you guys put together this flow chart, can you explain to us why you connected the friendly meals to the selectman's office?
Well, and that was, the reason for that was, is it wasn't exactly clear when we put this together, what exactly the relationship was with the town. We knew the town was funding, so I think there's a dotted line on there. There's a dotted line which fundamentally indicates, well, not just questionable, indicates that there may not be a direct reporting or legal relationship, but it was also to highlight the fact that there certainly was support being provided by the town to those entities. And so really what it does is flag it, and and obviously flagged it because when you look at it, you're asking the question now.
But we have no, what would you call it, jurisdiction. We have.
Well, that's why it's a dotted. That's why it's a dotted.
Well, the dotted means that the money goes one way and nothing.
No, isn't it money?
Oh, there is money.
I know there's money, but that line doesn't indicate.
We have no authority over them.
No, but you have a relationship with them, and that's what the dotted, the nature of the dotted line says.
By the same sense, you could say, you could put Southwest Regional Planning on there and say that there's a dotted line between the two because we have
Well, they use town property though, a little bit.
Now, this is a little, that's different. Southwest Regional isn't using.
Well, we send them money though.
Sorry?
We send them money. We support them.
Well, they're a vendor in that case.
They don't have exclusive use of the building right
They're a vendor, so it's a different.
That's their building though.
I was just using that as an example, but I think to Tim's point, we could
That's
probably
not-
clean
that's not
that
the
up and
I would
say,
like to think so.
you would like to.
I'm afraid of future references and liabilities. Potential liabilities.
But,
They're removing it from the original.
no, that building that is not their building. That building came with the property. They have use of that building. The building is covered under, because on town property, it's covered under the town's IMAX or whatever they're using as the.
Well, I know it was
umbrella
donated.
insurance.
It was
Sorry?
donated from up on Pratt Road. It came down
What was done?
that building.
No, it wasn't.
I'm afraid it was. Well, I think
I know it wasn't. It was a garage that was modified. It was on that property.
Okay, it still came from up there. It came from.
No, it didn't. Oh, well, you mean when the original owners had the property? When that
It was
property
moved
was
down from Pratt
purchased?
Road.
Not after it was purchased.
It was purchased before.
The property had that building on it.
When the
purchased.
town purchased the property, the building was on it.
Correct.
Okay.
Absolutely, positive.
Okay.
No question.
So the question is if you would like to move that we strike friendly meals from the org chart.
Well, I don't think we have any. We don't have any control. We don't. It's not part of our jurisdiction. Is it?
It's part of your budget.
Right, and this is just a matter of semantics, I think, between what is budgetary and what gets represented on our org chart.
Well, my interest was to point it out, I have no interest in taking it off if it's not.
Okay, here's the other thing, Tim. You're insuring the property, you have a liability coverage because they're operating on town property.
Yeah.
So, I think it would be a mistake to take them off the chart and not show it as a relationship in terms of the dotted line. You do have what I would call informal influence over them because you have a relationship where you can say, hey, next year we're not funding you. Or next year you don't have use of not that, I'm not saying that you can do that, but you do have the control from the standpoint of saying, it's our building, and, you're using the building at our pleasure. And if we decide for whatever reason that we have another use for that building, not so dissimilar for what happened to the food shelf in Langdon, they basically said, we got another use for the building and you're out of here.
Correct.
So there's where you have a kind of a formal.
Do you see what my problem is?
No.
My problem is, I don't want something that isn't part of the town, I don't want, it's the nose under the camels.
It's not, you already have a building, you have a building that you own, that they're using.
That we insure, that we pay for.
Yeah, so,
And we provide utilities.
and you're providing utilities, and you're doing any number of other things, probably, plowing the.
Well, so I can let you go, let me go to the second thing that I have.
Am I done?
Yeah.
And
I
there's
got
no motion.
You were part of the HR group, and I need to ask you, when you did, or when the group did the HR bit, they compared all these different,
Right. Different towns and.
different towns and different benefits and whatnot. When they compared the healthcare benefits, they never explained which towns had just the employee healthcare and which towns had employee healthcare plus spousal healthcare plus.
No, that's all, that information is all available in there's backup information up the wazoo, and you can get.
The only columns that I saw in the.
That's the formal report, but if you remember when it was presented, there's ample stuff on. Backup data on disks, that's all
And it
available.
explains in there whether the.
It has all the information on which towns covered, the exact detailed questions you're talking about.
Employee only or family.
Yeah, employee only, family only.
Okay, that's what I was trying to get at.
Did that ever make it up onto the website? All the data?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be available.
Did municipal association get a hold of it? Because they like to get all that stuff too.
I don't know if we shared with that, but we told every town that they worked with that we'd be happy to share with them what
Right.
they got if they asked for it. And I did meet one guy at our class who was interested in a copy of it, and I emailed it to him. I don't remember the town.
There's lots more, there's, this is like an iceberg. That report was just a summary, and I would say, there's 100 times more detailed information available in the discs that summary.
Okay, and so I look there, I should look there, okay.
Did you get a copy of the USB disc?
No.
Okay, we'll make sure you get
I
your
have
data.
an extra one on my desk.
Yeah.
If you want a hard copy, then we'll get
I
it.
think you should thank Mr. Novenko for coming down,
Thank you.
sharing with us this news.
I try to make this more regular because usually, except for the Stanley Cup and other things, it's better than what's on TV on Tuesday nights.
Well, I'm done.
We try to be entertaining.
Okay, let's see it. Tim, congratulations.
Thank you.
Take care. Good to see you. All right. What others?
Well, I've got the winter schedule thing, but I don't have a copy of it. I don't know if you guys have, you probably have a copy of it either. What do you want to do with it? Do you want to know, is there any amendments that you can think of that you wanted to change or?
Where I remember leaving it last time, did David get a chance to look at it yet?
We gave him a copy of it, that winter schedule.
Yes.
Okay, and
He hasn't said, I saw him very briefly today. He didn't say anything to me, did he?
You want to wait a week? I mean, it's summertime, so we don't.
make a point to. But I would also ask
Do you
this.
want to bring this up when we meet with him next month, go over that, or you wanna do that sooner?
I'd like to do that sooner.
Okay.
It's something we should do while we have.
What?
Keep wrangling?
Yeah, probably not. I'll be right there. What do you guys think about, requiring our town department heads to have access to email? I will throw that out there for discussion.
I'm looking at it.
What they want to move his car?
Okay,
Lights
so,
are on. Oh, his lights are on? All the time? That's it.
I don't know if I received a revised copy of your policy that you proposed.
It was never revised.
Oh, you just,
I sent it to these guys so
Oh,
that they
okay.
could
okay,
massage it or whatever they wanted to do with it, and
Okay.
nobody
Go
had
ahead.
any comment.
okay. I'll ask David, because I printed that out for him.
They don't charge us anything unless.
We have not, our application's closed on Friday, so we'll be going through that. Yeah, I'm anxious. Help.
No, I would be trying to get me to apply. No, I had it financially.
You notice everything came to a halt when you left?
No, I didn't.
I wasn't, he could go out of the room.
Still lit.
So, I have some old business, and maybe you can help me, Chris,
Let me jump
because,
into this first.
okay.
He's doing the,
Requiring,
Oh, email, that's right.
it's not a bad idea.
No, I like
is that
that.
an unreasonable request
No,
that we ask that our department heads have access to email so we can conduct business through email?
I would love to
yeah,
see,
who would that be a problem with? The Jesse has email.
But I talk to Kelly all the time.
Yeah, but Kim, where would Kim get his email? At the highway? Is there a computer on the fire station?
Perhaps, or a smartphone, or,
Don't they have
Smartphones?
They all have smartphones,
Okay, he
right?
has a smartphone.
yes.
And the town
Email's
provides them, so why would there be an email?
Alright, I just didn't know what kind of phones the guys carry.
So, I just bring it up because it's really efficient sometimes when we sit here and talk about that, and the first thing I'll hear is, well, I'll go ahead and print that out and let David know that it's gonna be here, and then he can swing by next time he's around and pick it up, and it just delays everything.
I usually call
David
the
doesn't have
department heads the next day and have them come pick up stuff, especially for things that we discuss on
So,
Tuesday, but email would be nice.
So let's, perhaps if you know who does not have email, please ask them. If you guys are okay with that.
I'm okay with it.
We would like to ask them to get an email account and let us know what it is, and it's free. And they can use their town-provided smartphones for that, if they would like
Okay.
to. I don't think it's asking too much. Okay.
but if I understand it right, it's just a service that all of the town people can use, which puts everything on that one service, but it doesn't necessarily mean that everything that somebody sends out is available to everybody else.
This is, step one. Step one would be for David or whoever to actually get a Gmail account or whatever, so we can email them immediately. Step two will be to go to that next step where everybody gets an alsteadnh.org email address.
Oh, it has to be 2 steps.
Yeah, just because I don't think we've got any word back with anything
Well, now,
specific from.
Do we have to pay for the Gmail?
No. No cost, zero cost.
No.
So improved efficiency.
And I have a Gmail already.
So you just wait for us to send everybody together?
Yeah, and we've emailed you before. Okay, that's fine. Okay, good.
Oh, one more old business, the door at the fire station.
The other door?
The man door.
Oh. You're talking about the door between the two houses?
Correct.
Right. Do we get,
I was just wondering.
He was gonna get estimates.
Yeah, what? I have these, what?
Those are for,
Those are
are we
for the
talking about the big door? or
No,
These
maybe we're gonna divide the office into two places, back for Kim and
Yeah.
Helen.
No, I'm talking about separating, replacing the door from the town hall to the fire station.
Correct. Have we got quotes on that?
I asked two people for several quotes. Whether they submitted them to you, I don't
Have
know.
we got any response for that?
The only ones that I have are the ones from Bill Rodenberg and Austin Reader that you've looked at.
And I asked Lynn.
And I
if she
have
lived
not
in it as well.
seen
That's the
anything from
big door,
Lindsay.
not the
Yeah,
little
yeah.
door.
And then you were hoping that Beaudry would send something, but no luck with that.
Okay.
So
So-
we did get three for the little door, correct?
I don't think we've
No,
got
we don't have
anything
any for the little door. I'm just,
Austin said he sent one in for the door.
so
would make
is
sure that-
so Austin's quote